In this video, I will explain getting started with spreadsheet analysis using Microsoft Excel. I will discuss some basic functions, for example, calculating sum, average, maximum, minimum, counting, count A function and count F function. I will use this data which comprises three columns. First column is about employee ID, second column is about monthly hours worked, and third column is about monthly salary, which we calculate using this input, which is hourly rate, $20 per hour. We will be using this input and this input to calculate monthly salary. So this is the column for hours worked and we want to calculate their total or sum, and for that purpose I will use this formula. When you want to select this whole column, a smart way is to just select the top cell and then press Ctrl, Shift and down key on your keyboard and the whole column will be selected, and then close parenthesis, hit enter. Next, I want to calculate total salary paid to all employees, and this information will come from this column using this additional input. I will use this formula, monthly hours worked multiplied by hourly rate, and hit enter. Before I copy this formula to other cells, I need to make a small adjustment in this formula. And that adjustment is that we need to lock this 20. I will lock it by pressing Fn F4 key. So when I press Fn and F4 keys on my keyboard, it locks that. Dollar signs appear. This means when I copy this formula to other cells, it will always be using this $20. So for example, in the second one, the formula is 147 multiplied by 20. The cells that are used in calculation are highlighted. Similarly, if I select this cell, it shows that the calculation for this cell was 185 multiplied by 20. If we do not do that, then Microsoft Excel will automatically be selecting other cells. So for example, if I do not lock it, then for the third one, Microsoft Excel will multiply 133 by this cell, and this is a blank cell, and that will be wrong. Similarly, for the fourth one, Microsoft Excel will multiply 185 by this fourth cell, and that will also be wrong. So therefore, to make sure that every time Microsoft Excel multiplies monthly hours worked by 20, we need to lock 20, and for that purpose we use Fn plus F4 keys together. Sometimes simply by pressing F4 key also works, and if you are using MacBook, then Command plus P also work. The next one is total salary paid to all employees. Total salary is given in this column. To calculate their sum, I will be using this formula. In order to select this whole column, I will select the top cell and then press Ctrl, Shift and down key. The whole range will be selected. Close parenthesis and hit enter, and that gives us total salary to all employees. If I want to see which data has been used, I will double click this one. This whole column is highlighted. Next, I want to calculate average salary. I'll be using data from this column and I will use this formula. Select the top cell and then press Ctrl, Shift and down arrow key, close parenthesis, hit enter, and that gives us average salary. For minimum salary, I will use this formula. Select the top cell and Ctrl Shift down key. The whole range will be selected, close parenthesis, hit enter, and that gives us minimum salary. For maximum salary, select the top cell and then again press Ctrl Shift down key. The whole column will be selected, close parenthesis, hit enter, and that gives us maximum salary. The next one is count of hours, numerical value. This function, that's count function, counts the numerical values given. So for example, count of hours, this count function, it will count how many values are these, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I will use this formula. Select the top cell and Ctrl Shift down key, close parenthesis, and it shows there are 30 values or 30 data points in this one, in this column. We can also verify that it has 31 rows and the top row is about labels. So excluding that, we have 30 rows. Then the next one is count A function. This function will count everything except empty cells. So for example, I will use this for this variable where we have some letters and numbers. to count how many values are these. Using this formula, select top cell, Control Shift down key, close parentheses and hit enter, and it says these are 30 values, same as number of values in this column. The last one is COUNTIF. COUNTIF counts based on a specific condition. In this question, our condition is count the number of employees who worked more than 170 hours. So here we can see there are some values which are greater than 170. We want to count all those values. And for that purpose, I will use this formula, COUNTIF. Select the top cell and then Control Shift down key and the whole column will be selected. There is also a suggestion. The suggestion says for this formula, the first input will be range. We have already entered range, which is E2 to E31. And the next is criteria. This is our criteria, which means those people who worked more than 170 hours. I will enter this criteria. If I hit enter, it shows there are 10 people who worked more than 170 hours. The next one is the difference between table and range. This data can appear in the form of a table or a range. If I select this whole table and if I want to convert it into table, I will press Ctrl T. Where is the data for your table? So this data range is selected. My table has a header. I will select it because the header row is selected. I will click on OK. This data is converted into a table. A table is a structured format for data. It shows filters. So for example, we can convert data into ascending or descending order, and we can also select only few data points. Another thing is that a table is dynamic. So for example, here if I want to add a new row, I will just press tab key on my keyboard and it will automatically add a new row. So therefore this table format is more dynamic. The other format is range, and for that purpose I will select this whole data and then click on table, and then here it says convert to range. I will convert it to a range. Do you want to convert the table to a normal range? Yes, this is a range, and in this range those filters have disappeared, and also it is not dynamic. So for example, if I hit tab key, it will not add a new row, but instead it will move to a new cell. So a range is static.